Activity 4 is about structure testing. So we will be implementing testing on the database and testing the bits that we have basically validated mostly. In any case, as we go along, we will clarify this even further. These are the 7 tests that have to be performed. The first one, a record will not save without all the appropriate volunteer information being present. So that is more complex than what it seems, because in the volunteer information we have to test where we have implemented a validation earlier in activity 2. So we have to revisit our validations from activity 2. We will be given a sheet to fill in. It says testing document for use with activity 4. Type of tests: normal, N for normal, R for erroneous, X for extreme. So basically normal data, where you enter data that is as normal. Wrong data, you do things that are wrong, basically, erroneous. So that's R for that. And extreme data is outside the given, let's say, domain of data. So if you have a list, for instance, a lookup with a list, you have 1, 2, and 3, and you put 4, for instance, or 0. Those two numbers are just outside the boundaries of your domain, and that is what it's talking about. So here you have to fill in this. Test number 1, for instance, you will test for, is it normal, wrong, erroneous, or extreme data. You have to put N or R or X, and then you will put the test data, the expected results, and a screen print. This you don't fill it in. Only if something goes wrong and you don't know how to correct it, you explain up to where you have understood. Let's get on with the first testing. A record will not save without all of the appropriate volunteer information being present. So that's test number 1. Let's go to our volunteer table, and here it's opened in a design view. And if you click on mobile phone, there is validation, as well as surname. There is validation down here, you can see. The volunteer ID has no validation. So basically, let's start with the mobile field. It says, first of all, is not null. Let's test that. If it is null, if it is empty, we will get a warning message. So let's go to the datasheet view of the table. Here is where we're going to perform testing. So we said that if the phone is null, empty, so let's just go straight to the surname and put any random surname. You can put any name and click somewhere else, and immediately you get this. You will get your snipping tool and you will take a screenshot of that and put it inside testing 1 and test data mobile. So you say nothing there, and then you say surname Clark. And expected results. Your expected result is the message that will appear. Okay, so a message will appear saying, please enter a phone number 8 digits long. You don't need to write anything here. It's something that I will repeat every so often about this area. If the error didn't come as you expected, you have to explain how you corrected it. Then you have to go back to the table, correct it, perform the test again, and explain how you corrected it. But what I advise you is, if you cannot perform this test because you've done something wrong, just to explain what is happening anyway. Where you abandon the test completely and you don't explain, you get less points. In this case, by explaining at least what happens to you, even if you perform the test wrong, you will get more points. So this is test 1A. Because as you can see here in the requirements, this is quite multiple, yeah? So you will have to perform more than just what you saw in that first test. If we go to the database, we say okay, press the escape key for that and go back to the design view. You can see now that it says is not null and like 8 digits long. Okay, so then what we do is we perform a test where it's less than 8 digits long, yeah? So let's go to the datasheet view, put again the surname, and here we put 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 digits long, and we click somewhere else. Again, we are successful because we got a message. We go to our snipping tool, new, copy all of that. We go back to the design view and we paste the second one. Make sure that the screenshots are correct as well. Now this is 1A and it was with wrong data, yeah? Because if we don't enter something normal in the data, it is wrong. So with a capital R. So in the first 1A test was R, and then the second test 1B. So it's still, remember, it's still this 1 here. So this is 1B. It's still R, and what we've done here is mobile 09878, and again the same message will appear. So we put surname Clark. Okay, now we move on from that one. We say okay, and we press the escape key to get out of here. Go back to the design view, and it says we've tested for both these, for is not null and like that. Now we can test by putting non-digit characters, so putting, for instance, letters, and see in the phone number and see what happens. So let's go back to the datasheet view and we enter again Clark, and here we say 8 digits long, so 4, 5, 6, and we put a couple of characters, let's say AA, so that's 8 digits long, yeah? So we press enter again, yeah? It didn't accept it. So we take this snipping tool, new, go back there, and here we have test 1C. It's again wrong data, capital R, and let's copy this and then modify it. So mobile is 777777, and then we put 2 letters, surname Clark, and we've got this, and again the same message appears. Copy and paste that. Let's move on to whatever else we can pick up. So we say okay to that, press the escape button to get out of here. Go to the design view. I think we've exhausted the testing for this. We've done is not null and like digits, and we tested as well wrong data for both this missing completely or this being not complete, or in other words shorter, or as well with letters. So we always got the message back. So now let's try to do something normal by entering it. It should accept it, yeah? So basically let's go back to the database in datasheet view, and let's present another user with an 8-digit phone number, 079. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 characters long. We go to this field and we type Clark, and it accepted it. So no message. We have to make sure that we click on something below so that it shows that we can write something and the error message doesn't appear. So here we have the snipping tool and no message. This is normal testing, and we paste it there. We say 1D, this is normal, and we put mobile. Let's copy this and modify it. Control C, Control V, mobile 079823445, and the surname is Clark, and we explain this as a new record will appear or be entered successfully while the volunteer ID is filled in successfully as well. And you can see here as well that we've got volunteer ID 19. It doesn't matter what number appears here, because you may have tested this earlier, and obviously each time you delete one row to keep the 2 volunteers that are used in the database. Each time you have deleted one, then basically that is what's going to happen. So let's go back to the requirements and see what we have done. A record will not save if the volunteer mobile number is not in the correct format. We just did that, so basically that is for the volunteer mobile number in the correct format. We've just entered a number in our testing, so if we go above, we see that we changed the format. It's not the correct format, so we can call that 2, testing 2. Basically, let's go back to the requirements to see whether this corresponds to another testing. A valid volunteer record will save correctly. Okay, so basically that's what happened here. Basically we've done this already when we entered a valid volunteer, Clark, and the phone number was 8 digits long and Clark is correct. So we didn't get a message, so that would correspond to test number 3. So far we have done 3 tests. So let's put that as 3. So we can continue with the requirements in the next lesson.